G'day boys and girls, Duckville here. I've got a Zerg versus Protoss today. We're going to check out a young Canadian Protoss play. He's down here in the bottom right hand side of Frost. He's going to be cross positions. He's, well, smurfing, or I'm not sure if using someone else's account, or I assume it's just smurfing for fun. As our Canadian player here from Manitoba, or I would like to visit one day. I heard that the tundras of Manitoba are the best place to see some polar bears, and my favorite animal is our Protoss from Deadly Gaming. It is HuShang. And he's going to be starting us out with what would look to be a Forge Fast Expand here on Frost. His opponent up to the top left hand side is our RedZerg player from Team NTC. I don't know. It's the red guy. The RedZerg. This is the problem with goddamn barcodes. I remember the days, I sound so old when I say this, I remember the days when you could go on to Play XP, if anyone knows that Korean website. You could go on the forums of Play XP in the replay section and just constantly have replays available from a lot of the Korean high-level players. Like we're talking, you know, Master. It was before, I guess, Masters was made, and then when Masters and GM came up, and then, you know, people still used their names, and it was kind of cool because you could just always have some replays available. But these days, it's not as easy to get people, just given the fact that barcodes make it a little bit annoying. But HuShang, of course, is a Protoss player, loves to do all sorts of things when it comes to his strategies. He released a replay pack, it's number 4, and it's available over on Team Liquid. There's quite a few different types of game styles in there. I did tend to see that they tend to be short, like not short games, but they rarely went to late games. So we're not talking about Bones from Seed or anything like that, where we get to see 50-minute games constantly. But HuShang does like his various sorts of pushes to get the work done. That's all that matters. No matter the strategy, if it gets the work done, that's all you need to worry about, I figure. But he will get that Nexus down. We've got the Forge on the way. We can see now that not too much going on as the game is still just opening up, but our RedZerg is actually going to be going for a 3-hatch opening. Pull's going to come a little bit later. Now this kind of build is of course a very, very economically focused. You could possibly even call it an eco cheese. I tend to call those like really fast builds eco cheese because if you can make it work, you're in a great position economically. If you get caught out, it's a bit like cheese. You can be in a lot of trouble. So, but I mean, it is Frost, so it's one of the biggest maps that we have seen in the map pool. Not the biggest. That award goes to Altazim, of course, which is the biggest map that has ever been in the ladder pool. But he will be grabbing a spawning pool shortly after. There are a few different trains of thought when it comes to how to follow up after you do this kind of this 3-hatch opening. Now, some players will get their gas really, really quickly, just one gas, and start mining out of one. Other players will grab their gas at around about, I think if I remember correctly, it's around about the 5:10, 5:15 mark on the rocket clock. And they'll start mining from both gas so that they can get their link speed as quickly as you normally would, but you do have a lot of gas coming in. But you initially start with a lot of minerals, of course, because you aren't sacrificing them into the extractors or anything like that. So HuShang has not actually seen that there is the third base here. He was not aware of that. There it is. Okay, so oh, all right. He's making me look silly. But our RedZerg is still not getting gas just yet. I think he's just feeling comfortable in the fact that we are cross-positioned. So it's not exactly the easiest thing for a Protoss player to come across and harass. If you're going to send a Zealot, that could leave the natural base exposed. If you send a Mothership Core, that could also come under attack if there are a bunch of cleans out. And, you know, Warp Gate Tech won't be done still for another couple of minutes, depending on how much Chrono Boost goes into it. So it's still a long time before you really do need those lings out. But as I said, you do see some people get the gas a little bit quicker. I believe Katz grabs it quite quickly so that he can make sure that he is protected if the Protoss does scout him out. But our RedZerg for the moment, just happy to sit back, drone up quite heavily. He's up to 32 at the moment with another 4 more on the way. Meanwhile, for our Protoss, a couple more gates now going down. We're going to have a total of 4 up and running. This Overlord is going to scout through a little bit of a weird path, just pushing it past that cannon, but he is going to... Wait, hang on. Did he see it? Oh, he did see the 3 gates. It would be interesting to see if he clicked on it, but either way, you see 3 buildings positioned like that, it's almost always going to be gateways. You tend to see them go down in the exact same position, sorry, a very, you know, very clumped up position. So either way, we'll probably see our RedZerg get prepared with some defensive either units or some buildings very soon, perhaps a spine or 2. He is keeping an eye on this 3rd base here, and it looks as if HuShang is looking to push out and grab that. We've got a couple of sentries back at home. There is one probe that has snuck down here and is going to put the Nexus down. So he's going to be looking to take a 3rd base very quickly. Behind this, we've also got the Twilight Council. So he's going to be taking up, grabbing some... I don't know, it looks as if, well, we've got +1 weapons just about done. If we start at +2, yeah, I'd assume we're going to go for Blink here. It looks as if, you know, just with the way that things are rolling, he hasn't invested massively into the sentries. A lot of the time when people look to take a quick 3rd base, they try and get around about 5 or sometimes 6 sentries so that they are very well protected against lings. But he's sort of, he's neglected some of that gas there, so I'm assuming that we are going to go up to Blink very soon. But for his opponent across the other side of the map, we've got some creep spreads started. We are connecting the natural to the 3rd base. We will need to, I suppose there's a little bit of space there. It doesn't really matter too much. But he is up to 53 drones right now, sitting on a nice economy, and has gotten a few units out to make sure that he is protected against any possible attacks. But there are those extra sentries I was talking about. I was sort of assuming that we'd see them a little bit earlier. But HuShang has now scouted through. He's seen the Roach Warren. He can see the 2 Evo chambers that are here as well. And he's going to be comfortable. There's no fancy tech coming quickly like, you know, those crazy double Hydra Den plays that you see from time to time. We do have 1, but we don't have 2. You know, there's no Spire so far. I would like to see HuShang just scout through the back here and make sure that the main is doubly checked out to make sure that there's nothing too crazy going on. But all for the moment, +2 to weapons is on the way. There's Blink. We do have that now coming through. And at this point, I think that HuShang's just going to set up this economy here at the 3rd and then get prepared for a push, I would assume. Mothership, interesting position for that Mothership core, just sitting at the Zelniger watchtower there. Phoenix does scout through, sees that there is no Spire on the way, or for the most, well, you know, we've scouted out most of the base and there's no Spires, so we can be pretty safe in the assumption of that. Not to mention the double Evo chambers that are pulsating there, so it does look like we are going for initially a ground-based composition for our Zerg player. So we will see. The Zerg from NTC now pushing across. Now there is a nicely set up defense here. We've got a wall just covering this position here. We also have that cannon there, which provides a nice field of fire along this area. But also, though, all of those sentries, the 7 sentries that are there, I've got a message apparently, do give like a lot of protection with all of the force fields that can be placed down. I almost just dropped my phone. There we go. Alright, it's all good. The force fields that can be utilized here, as you can see, we can probably look to choke up this position here to make sure that the Zerg cannot escape. There you go, beautifully done with those lings, and it means that he's going to hack down all of those lings, and that's a lot of I guess, a lot of presence of sort of a meat shield that has been now taken out. So the Zerg player is going to have to back off for now. +2 to weapons is done. +3 is on the way. There is a Warp Prism now coming through, and a whole bunch of gates are now flowering open here inside the main base. So it is going to take us to a total of, I believe that's 10 gates. Yes, it is. And we also have the Robo Bay is just about done as well. Zealots are now going to push through the bottom side of the map. Lots of Stalkers, all those sentries. They didn't use too many force fields. I believe it was only 3. And here comes the Zerg player. Wonderful force fields through the middle there. Wow, really nicely done. It's a nice cut of those force fields there that he would have probably wanted to actually sort of cut some of the units to split them in half or something, but either way it was really nicely done. And HuShang is not investing too heavily just yet into this push. He's getting up a 4th base, making sure his economy is nice and safe. He is now pushing across towards the Zerg player's 4th base as well. And looking at the supply, we've got our Zerg up at 170 supply. Some Swarm hosts have just come out, and I mean, these guys, Swarmhosts do really, really well against gateway units. Everybody knows that. It's very hard to make gateway units actually work against Swarmhosts in this sort of situation. But what they can do is provide you with some nice, safe defense here. As we can see, just protecting that third base for now. But this means that the fourth is very exposed. Sentries are in a little bit of a tough position. They're forced to recall back home. The Zealots have been dealt with, but after harassing this third base. So HuShang's done a decent job of just sort of mucking about with the economy. Not necessarily a huge amount of pressure there. Like, I mean, when you've got these swarm hosts out, they do start to, you know, give you a nice presence out there when it comes to defense. But HuShang is still going to be able to just position himself in a good spot. He's got a couple of Colossi now on the way. We've got double Robo, I believe. Yes, it is. And also the extended Thermal Lance is just being researched right now. Templar Archives is also on the way. So our Protoss is just getting all those tools prepared. We're not necessarily ready to rumble yet, just with these swarm hosts, but we're getting there. We're almost ready to go. Meanwhile, for the Zerg, he is going to have to deal with some harassment inside the main base. These Zealots are now going to charge in, and they're going to smash apart this Queen firstly, I would assume. And then they're going to deal with the rest of the buildings that are there. A couple of Locusts now just pushing across at HuShang's third base. Swarmhost will burrow inside the main. Well, two of them will burrow. I believe that's two. Yeah, that's two. And they are going to eventually keep this base defended, but the Zerg player is forced to take these drones off the mineral line, given those Zealots are going to get a lot of damage done. And of course, this Warp Prism has not been spotted yet. But HuShang now pushing forwards. He grabs a couple of those swarm hosts, takes them down. The fourth base has not been harassed at all. I don't believe the Zerg knows about it. No, he doesn't. So he is going to have to eventually deal with that fourth base if he wants to stay in this game, because these Zealot harassment drops are going to do so much damage here. HuShang is going to tear apart this swarm host and possibly the spine crawler as well. No, the swarm host evacuates and does drop out a couple of Locusts, but the Zealots are just getting so much damage done, and the Warp Prism, I think it may have, oh no, it's just over there. I completely missed that. But the swarm hosts are just providing a little bit of defense, but not in the right positions. This is the problem that you face when you're using swarm hosts. They are very, very immobile units. You have to burrow, drop out the Locust. There's some more great force fields from HuShang. Just blocking off this edge here means that you use the hatchery as part of the block, and that base is now gone. We're going to recall out. And this is just some great tempo-based harassment here from HuShang. He's keeping his opponent busy with all of these Zealots that are dropping in inside the main base and also that fourth. But he's also pushing up, taking a base every now and then, taking down a large part of the economy. And this means that as the game moves on, because of this tempo-based play, he's just in a beautiful position. He's up at 179 supply. We'll probably warp in some more Zealots and push that up again. But he's just, I feel like he's in a really good spot, and this will probably be the final push here from HuShang. Given that his opponent's economy has been basically put to rest, there is almost nothing coming in for this Zerg player at the moment. His natural base is, well, it's actually still got a little bit of minerals there. I'm kind of surprised about that, but the fourth is barely mining at this point. No third, no main. Swarm hosts are now going to push forward some more force fields, just sort of choking up the swarm hosts so that they can be burnt apart by those extended thermal lances of the Colossi. And now with the Templar here, wow, that's a lot of Templar. That's 9 Templar here. They are going to be able to throw out a lot of storms, and we'll probably see these swarm hosts be roasted alive by the storms of the Protoss. Blinking forwards with the Stalkers, takes down a few of the swarm hosts. The Observer providing some vision here. There's the Roaches and Hydras towards the side are going to come in and try and get some damage done, but unfortunately with so many storms available for the Protoss player, the Colossi, the AoE damage is just amazing for here from HuShang, and that is probably going to be it. Most of those units have been annihilated, and despite the swarm hosts that are here, it is probably going to be a GG in a second here from our RedZerg player from NTC. HuShang doing a great job with some really nice tempo-based play here, has eventually taken out his opponent here on Frost, and really, really nice play. Go and check out HuShang on Twitter and on Twitch as well. Hope you enjoyed the match. I'll catch you all next time. Here, as you can see, 47 damage to bio units, and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more